Hello and welcome to Great Deltan. In this video I'm going to demonstrate how I built my baseboard framework by taking you along with me as I construct the next phase from ground up. This framework method, I must add, uses the walls for stability, so the holes are drilled into them. If you were looking to this video for guidance of an exhibition or standalone layout, then this is not the video for you. I am by no means a carpenter, but I do know basic woodworking. I'm open to criticism, so if there's anything I could be doing better or wrong, then please leave a comment, as it will be easier to make improvements at this stage before I begin laying track. For materials, I use 2.4 metre lengths of CLS timber, which measures 38 by 67 millimeters or 2 by 3 inches in crossface area. This wood is readily available from most hardware stores, it's easy to work with, fairly cheap, and it's strong enough for the application I use it for. These are also available in 3 metre lengths at slightly better value per metre. However, I am limited by what I can fit in the car, so tend to opt for the 2.4 metre lengths. They go for around £4 per length, however it's always worth checking places like the Facebook Marketplace, as I also managed to pick up 20 lengths for £40 from a seller recently. For screws, I use these Torx head decking screws which measure 75mm, which is long enough to penetrate the wood regardless of what face I go through. These again are also relatively cheap, with a box of 200 only setting me back £9 and readily available. Torx heads are far better for not slipping a drill or impact bit than the standard Phillips head screws. Tooling wise, I have a miter saw, cordless drill, impact driver, tape measure, marker pen, spirit level, masonry and wood drill bits, rule plugs, wood clamps, hammer, chisel, and of course Henry. I'll start the process by fixing 4 lengths upright to the wall. This acts as a base to screw the rest of the layout to and supports the weight of it, as opposed to the wall taking the weight. To get started, I mark out on the wall where my uprights are going to go. I match the spacing to the already built opposing side of the garage for tidiness, and if I want to at some point install shelves above, as I had done with the mattress storage. Using a permanent marker, I dot where the left hand side of the wood needs to line up with. Next, I prepare the length. There is no need to shorten the length at this point, as I use the 2.4 metres in its entirety, again for if I choose to erect shelving across the width of the garage, but also because I will use these uprights to mount my lighting and back scenes to. I drill 4 holes which will be used to fix it to the wall. They're only roughly spaced apart, as there's not a great need for accuracy here. I only need to make sure I don't put a hole where the cross bracing will go over it, in case I need to access the screw in the future. I made that mistake with my old layout, and when it came to selling it, I had to pry the layout off the wall as I couldn't access the screw to unfix it. The other bit of prep work for the upright will be the need to cut a small notch out of the bottom. This is due to there being a skirting board lining the wall. I'd prefer to have uprights sitting on the floor, so the weight of the layout is taking onto the uprights and then the floor, as opposed to the drywall. This job was not needed on the other side, as the transition between breeze block and concrete floor was skirtless. I'll measure up the height and the depth of the skirt and then cut that out of the stud using several cuts of the miter saw and then a chisel. The stud is now ready to be fixed to the wall, so I offer it up and use a spirit level to ensure it's true vertical. Once I'm happy with its position, I will drive some screws into the wood and through the wall. I know personally there are no electrics or pipes behind this wall, due to my familiarity with the house drawings we were given upon completion of purchase. If I was unsure though, I would use a stud finder. I screw all 4 in, then unscrew them and set the length of wood to the side, still the same way up. I try to avoid laying it down so it doesn't go back up the wrong way. I now have my pilot holes for my rule plugs to go into. I use a 7mm masonry bit to drill out the holes to the desired depth. There is a void behind the plasterboard, so it doesn't take long for the drill to get through. In certain places I've hit the plaster from the dot and dab application, but nevertheless the drill still goes through easily. The plugs are then pushed through and tapped into the wall, and the length is secured by tightening the screws fully. I'll repeat this process with the other 3 uprights. I will now move to the layout surface, which will consist of front and back horizontal pieces and then the cross bracing in between them. I can make this section as a whole piece and then attach it to the wall using the other side of the layout as a workbench to ensure it's square and level. Due to the need to attach the front and back horizontals to the existing framework, I won't add cross bracing right up to the end, and instead set them about 150mm back from each end, allowing room for a small length to act as a coupler. Again, I'm not going to cut down the two lengths that I'm using for the front and back, as I have no need for them to be any shorter. I'll cut some lengths to use as cross bracing and then line it all up on the workbench to come together. Next, I'll drill some pilot holes for my screws and then drive them in at a slight angle to the bracing. I'll repeat this process until the whole assembly comes together as one, and then it is ready to fix to the uprights. In order to fix to the uprights, I'll need to support the front end by adding a temporary leg. I'll then need to get the back the same height as the existing layout by clamping up a length onto the framework and then clamping the new section to that. This won't be exact, but it will give me the support I need to line it up properly, and then drive in the screws to fix it permanently. I'll then level up the front side, flip the leg over to avoid getting into any existing holes, and then fix it permanently. The leg position will be determined by what I want to store under this section of the layout. This brings me to the final stage, the under layout storage. This particular model will house an under counter fridge and freezer underneath with a shelf on top, and also part of some shelving which will be shared with the next module along. I'll take the width of the standard under counter appliance and apply that to the previous leg of the layout to allow for the fridge freezer to go in. I'll then fix the leg in place and then another leg to the other side of the second appliance. Lastly, I'll take the height of the appliance and add a horizontal piece front and back to support the small shelf. Depending on the weight of what's being stored on that shelf, I'll sometimes add reinforcement to the leg so that the weight of the shelf is taken by the floor and not the layout legs. After that, I'll cut up some more planks to act as my base and then screw this into place. I prefer not to board the shelves as it works out far pricier and it takes a lot longer to cut the boards to length than it does the planks. And I need to use the planks anyway to brace the framework for strength under the board. The only disadvantage to using planks is the increase in height compared to the board, so the loss of shelf space. That brings us to the end of this video. The layout is now ready for purpose, being strong and sturdy, level, and have its storage space ready for its purpose. All in all so far, the cost of wood for doing the left hand side, back, workbench, mattress shelf and right hand side down here has cost me just over £300. That is of course relative to the fact that I am building a very large layout and I've opted to use the layout space underneath the storage, so I've needed a lot of extra wood. A majority of what's been built here can be achieved without the miter saw and impact gun, but a drill is most definitely needed at the least. Thank you for watching, I hope you found this somewhat useful, and I will see you in the next video. Bye bye.